Post Falls City Council has voted to take Juneteenth off the list of city holidays and instead recognize Columbus Day. The reason why tonight.
Our active weather pattern continues. We're tracking a round of scattered snow showers hitting the region tonight.
A local environmental group urging the public to voice their concerns about Plan Spokane 2046. What they're concerned about tonight. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. In our Boomtown series, we track growth across the region, including the growing population of Spokane. In the last few minutes, public comment closed for Spokane residents to weigh in on the city's 2046 comprehensive plan. KREM 2's Regan Gallo spoke with a local conservation group about their concerns with the proposal and what they say is at stake for the community.
The city's Plan Spokane 2046 is a comprehensive plan meant to guide how the city manages growth in the next 20 years. But one local group, Spokane Urban Nature, says they're concerned on how the plan may impact the local environment.
Over the next 2 decades, the city projects more than 23,000 new residents will move to Spokane, driving the need for more than 22,000 additional housing units. Spokane Urban Nature warns the city's draft plan could waive environmental review to speed up infill development, a move they say weakens protections for natural areas, wildlife, and tree canopy. Jeff Lambert, a founding member of Spokane Urban Nature, tells me he is still in support of high-density housing, but he says he wants protections in place.
The missing element is a plan and city codes that actually protect and think about interconnected habitat.
When I asked the city about this in an email response, I was told the city of Spokane is not proposing any rollbacks of existing environmental protection. We are still in the public feedback phase, and addressing climate and environmental priorities is a central focus of the overall update.
Public comment just ended at 5 p.m. The city tells me that the plan will be adopted sometime by the end of the year. I'm reporting in Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
The suspect accused of setting a Pullman apartment building on fire back in October of 2025 entered a guilty plea for the first-degree arson and attempting to elude police charges. Elijah Reagan led officers on a high-speed pursuit that resulted in a SWAT standoff. Negotiators convinced Reagan to surrender. He was then booked into the Whitman County Jail. With his guilty plea, Reagan received the maximum sentence of 34 months. And some big news for the Evergreen State tonight and the NFL. The Seahawks have officially been put up for sale. The announcement was made earlier today on social media. The estate of former owner Paul Allen said that after his passing, he wanted his estate to eventually sell his sports holdings and direct all proceeds to philanthropy. For many fans, the announcement is bittersweet.
Paul Allen owning the organization, I think he did a great job of building a culture.
Estimates on the sale price go as high as $7 billion. The sale process is expected to continue throughout the offseason. NFL owners must then ratify a final purchase agreement. All right, let's talk weather on this Wednesday with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo joining us from the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. Jeremy, woke up to some snow finally in Spokane.
Finally, a little bit. And here on the back patio, Mark, aside from the snowman, it has already melted. Just green grass out here. Coeur d'Alene looking a bit different where you got a little bit more snow. Here in town, quite a bit less than we saw in parts of Idaho. And with temperatures climbing slightly above freezing, that was enough to melt what we picked up. In North Idaho, we still have those winter weather advisories. Till 8 p.m. off to the north, 10 p.m. down to the south. An additional 1 inch of snow is expected. Already seeing some of those snow showers. And these ones off to the north really haven't moved much. Colville, we've been looking at that storm trying to work its way out for a while, finally starting to do so from north to south. Tooele still in it. Newport all the way to Sandpoint along Highway 2 still in it. And then 95 north of Sandpoint up to Bonners Ferry been in and out of it. Down to the south, a few scattered showers coming down across the Palouse. All of these are inch maximum kind of storms. Not as much energy, not as much moisture. So what we wind up seeing is most of that just die down tonight. Overnight, might get a couple of stray showers, maybe even here in town, so you could wake up to a couple of slick spots, but odds are pretty low, especially on arterials. Tomorrow, we'll top out in the mid-30s once again. Friday, a similar story, and those light scattered showers stick around through the work week, but by the weekend, we dry out and start warming up.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. Several Washington state lawmakers are sponsoring a bill to exempt the Spokane waste-to-energy facility from the state's Climate Commitment Act. That facility faces significant costs to comply with the act, and the burden could fall on Spokane residents. KREM 2's Caitlin Galloway breaks it down tonight.
The Spokane waste-to-energy plant is unique, and local lawmakers are fighting for legislation that support both the state's climate goals as well as the facility and the city. Local lawmakers argue that while the state's climate goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions are important, regulations shouldn't be one size fits all, especially considering Spokane is the only city whose solid waste disposal system falls under the CCA.
Because it's one of a kind, we were able to turn it into this mythical thing that we didn't have anywhere in our state, and we have very few across our country and across the world. And, that's where we were at 30 years ago.
Representative Natasha Hill, substitute House Bill 2416's sponsor, says the facility doesn't have the technology to comply with what the Climate Commitment Act requires, and the resulting financial penalties could increase utility costs in Spokane.
So we need to balance out meeting our climate commitment goals with what our ratepayers can afford, especially today and right now, while we're still working on technology that's going to help us address carbon emissions from a plant like this, as well as other facilities.
A study from the Department of Ecology says Spokane's WTE facility provides the greatest net reduction in emissions compared to landfills. The bill sponsors are committed to reducing emissions, but need to support the plant and Spokane residents.
We know affordability is such a big issue right now. We don't want to just say, hey, you're in the Climate Commitment Act now because it's 2027 and you have to meet these benchmarks, but we didn't really give you any tools to get there.
If the bill doesn't pass, Spokane would have to buy credits that offset the facility's emissions, meaning prices could increase as soon as next year. Representative Hill says they do have bipartisan support for the bill. Reporting in Spokane, Caitlin Galloway, KREM 2 News.
Coming up after the break, a move by Post Falls City Council to remove Juneteenth from the city's calendar. The reason why, after the break.